And the purpose of human life is to attain your highest level of awareness and consciousness in this birth, so that when you're born again the next birth, you don't have to start from scratch. You start from where you left it the previous birth. You've seen kids who are just like born spiritually enabled. They start seeing things and they start saying weird things, they're intuitive, epiphanies, and you're like, where is this coming from, this wisdom? So you're literally building your lives. And Ayurveda and yoga prepares your body for meditation by releasing all diseases, discomfort, chakra imbalances, dosha imbalances, prakritic imbalances, so that you can sit in a state of meditation and eventually break the cycle of life and death. So Ayurveda is not just a physical tool to become healthy. It is one of the many factors that contributes to you attaining moksha nirvana.
Welcome to a Curious Yogi podcast. I'm your host, Bobby, joined by living masters and awakening friends. I'm so delighted you're here. Now let's get curious. All right, so welcome back to the podcast, Curious Yogis. I am so excited for this conversation today. We are going to go deep into the intersection of Ayurveda's ancient wisdom with modern health science and understand how lifestyle, diet, and getting to the source of healing is directly connected with our spiritual search for happiness and wholeness. So it's an absolute honor to welcome Dimple Jangda to the show. Welcome, Dimple.
Thank you so much, Bobby, for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here.
You made such an impression on me when I heard your talk at the One Equal Ground conference in Delhi earlier this year. And so I really appreciate you taking the time, and I'm super excited for this conversation. And just a little bit about your bio, like your credentials are a masterclass in bridging worlds. You're a celebrity Ayurveda nutritionist and gut health coach, a national best-selling author, a research scholar on aerogenomics at Jane University, holding certifications in lifestyle medicine from Harvard Medical School and gut health and the microbiome from Stanford, alongside being a certified yoga teacher. It keeps going. It's so good. Through your Prana Healthcare Center and Academy, you've treated and taught tens of thousands of people across the globe. But what makes your story so extraordinary to me, and I'm sure to many of your community, is the inspiring road that led you to where you are today. Before dedicating your life to healing, you had a successful career as a New York investment banker, TV producer, while navigating your own challenging circumstances. And you recently made an amazing appearance at the Cannes Film Festival. And I love what you shared online afterwards. And I want to start here. You said, I came to Cannes not just to attend. I came to claim space for Ayurveda, for India, for every woman who heals quietly and brilliantly and deserves to be seen. So I love that. So I think we should just start with that. Like, what does that mean to you? And welcome. I'm so excited.
Thank you so much for having me. So as I was telling you just before we started, souls have neither a birth nor death. Our soul's journey is infinite. But the human experience that we're having in this moment is limited. It's for, say, 70 years, 80 years, 90 years, 100 years if you get lucky. And the reason I was able to connect with you instantly amongst the hundreds of people who showed up for that event, you were the only one I exchanged numbers with, honestly. And there was a reason, there were a lot of other people, like heaping compliments, fangirling. And I didn't feel the need to share my number at that moment because I don't need those. There was a curiosity in you to promote plant-based food. I said, here's another woman who wants to heal the planet, who wants to heal animals, birds, plants, and human beings and help them not build negative karma, but release their karma. That intention with which you spoke was powerful. And I said, here's my number. Let's stay in touch and don't hesitate to call me. And not just you and me, there are countless women in this world who are on the same mission in different forms, either as a mother, as a wife, as a daughter, as a sister, as an entrepreneur, as a businesswoman, as a colleague. They're all trying to heal the world of something. Some might be healing the world of patriarchy, inequality, some might be healing the world of chauvinism, negative, toxic work cultures. Some might be trying to heal the environment. Women by default are nourishing in nature. And so when I walked the Cannes Film Festival, I kept asking myself, what's my purpose of walking there? One was obviously to claim space for Ayurveda, because we've now got students in 93 countries and students in 93 countries and followers in 148 countries. That shows that we indeed have a global demand for natural wellness. I said, okay, one, to claim space for Ayurveda. And two, it is to claim space for wellness, for healing from the perspective of a woman, because only a woman can give birth. No man can take that away from a woman. Only woman can give birth. Only woman can create new life on this planet. Isn't that what gods do? We run to temples and mosques and, churches, and you pray to something that's made out of stone and wood, and you've given it the designation of God. But the God you must be praying to is at home, the one who gave birth to you. You're praying to an energy that you've never felt. You've never seen. You've felt it, but you've never seen it. But energy exists in the physical form at home. It's your mother who gave birth to you. Your father had a small contribution, yes. And he provided and protected the family, yes. But you couldn't have existed. She made your brain, your spinal cord, your heart, your liver, your kidney, your intestines, your skin, your eyes, your ears, your nose, your mouth. It's a lifetime of gratitude. And when that realization occurred to me many, many years later, that I wouldn't be who I am if my mother didn't exist, if my mother didn't bother to create me and save me and protect me and keep me alive during my growing years. It's so easy for a child to die and succumb to, so many kinds of illness and ailments. And I regretted the years I didn't value this role of hers. I'd regret it every morning saying, oh my God, I didn't see this. I didn't see that God was right here next to me. So this whole Cannes experience for me was for women who give birth, who nourish the planet, who heal the planet, for people like you, for people like my mother, for people like everyone, whether you've had a child or not, for everyone on the planet.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I also loved what you wore and like the whole story behind the history of the outfit and the handicrafts of India is super beautiful.
Thank
And
you.
and just like again going to the healing journey, can you speak a little bit about your own healing journey and path from this high achieving successful, I mean you're still high achieving, but investment banker, TV producer, into moving into Ayurveda and healing as a way of like exactly like you're saying, but did that journey go for you?
First of all, I've never felt any part of my life as a high. And, my stylist who was part of the whole project, he kept asking me after I came back, why are you not celebrating? I don't think it's hit you yet that you finished a big project in Cannes. And he kept asking me that, and it hit me later in the night why I was not celebrating. I was wondering if I'm devoid of emotions, you know? For me, the process has always been more gratifying and rewarding than the end result itself. And we're all here doing a certain job on behalf of the universe, not for ourselves, because I, anyways, can't take anything with me when I die. I love my clothes. I can't take it. I love my family. I can't take them. Their journey ends at the grave. So anything that you do comes with a sense of detachment. But I can't anyways take it with me. And when I look retrospectively at my life, I don't look at it as, oh, I was an investment banker at Wall Street and now I'm a health coach. I look at it as a girl who was 22 years old, trapped in an abusive marriage, not allowed to use the phone, with the windows and doors tightly shut and having a near to death experience every single minute of her life. And I look at that girl and I'm like, I'm so grateful that she did her very best to stay alive so that I could tell the story. Our body changes every 7 years. We're not the same person every 7 years. We have a brand new body. So I'm not the same person I was 20 years ago. And I look back and I'm like, I'm so grateful for that young girl, for that journey she made. And everything else was just a cherry on the cake. But the real cake was being able to survive. For me, that was a real thing, and after that, honestly, it was just me experimenting out of curiosity. I love learning. I get into every new industry. I learn something. And when I feel I'm saturated, I'm not learning anything new, I switch industries. So I went from being an advertising copywriter to doing an MBA in international business, studying filmmaking in my graduation, becoming a TV reporter, a TV producer, investment banker. At the high of my career, I said, okay, I'm done. The money doesn't make sense. The numbers don't make sense. The impact on the planet doesn't make sense. And I took a sabbatical for 2.5 years to travel the world and rediscovered that I wanted to be a healer, and Ayurveda found me. And, the universe was kind enough to give me a job. So I said, I'd rather work for the universe than for a corporate company.
Mm, nice. And so, like, if we speak about Ayurveda coming to you and just like thinking of the listeners, those that are listening to this podcast that are sincere seekers into something, deeper than this physical experience. And like you said, like everything ends at the grave. Like we're just here for this temporary time. But how does diet and lifestyle in terms of Ayurveda support our spiritual healing, transformative journey on this, journey from cradle to grave?
Yeah, beautiful. Cradle to grave. That's like a great way to say it. When we were born in the purest form of the five elements: earth, water, fire, air, and space, the Panchamahabhut. You're only made of these five elements. There's nothing more astronomically magical or unbelievable about our body. When we die, we disintegrate back into these five elements: earth, water, fire, air, space. We can take nothing with us. The soul leaves the body as an ether and doesn't occupy space on this planet anymore. So, what is it that happens between cradle to grave? Why did the elements go out of balance? Why did we manifest diseases? It's because of the state of our mind and the intentions we had. When you experience discomfort in your elements, earth, water, fire, air, space, it manifests as diseases at a physical level, and it also causes imbalances at a mental, emotional level. So, physically, mentally, and emotionally, if you're not solidifying your foundation, you will not be able to manifest yourself energetically or accomplish what you need to achieve spiritually. And the purpose of human life is to attain your highest level of awareness and consciousness in this birth, so that when you're born again the next birth, you don't have to start from scratch. You start from where you left it the previous birth. You've seen kids who are just like born spiritually enabled. They start seeing things and they start saying weird things, they're intuitive, epiphanies, and you're like, where is this coming from, this wisdom? So you're literally building your lives. And Ayurveda and yoga prepares your body for meditation by releasing all diseases, discomfort, chakra imbalances, dosha imbalances, prakritic imbalances, so that you can sit in a state of meditation and eventually break the cycle of life and death. So Ayurveda is not just a physical tool to become healthy. It is one of the many factors that contributes to you attaining moksha nirvana. And
Right.
all religions, by the way, mention Ayurveda. The Quran mentions herbs. The Bible mentions herbs. And Jainism mentions kapha, pitta, vata. And I was impressed, out of so much scripture and text, there was at least one line mentioning herbs and kapha, pitta, vata. And I was like, okay, wait, this is a relevant science that even the gods and goddesses back in the day understood and appreciated.
Right. Because it's like if we are on this journey and like aware of the highest purpose, which you so beautifully said, is to reach that higher sense of awareness of who we really are beyond this skin suit and all of this, but yet living a sattvic life or a clean life or a life in where the prawn can be vibrant in the body is so essential, like not only for one that's on a spiritual path, but for everybody. What does it mean to feel whole and happy and healthy? And can you just speak a little bit about how we live in that way, which, day to day, but also like in the bigger purpose of life? Like, what are those lifestyle metrics that are important to put our attention on as a part of our spiritual practice, as a part of our higher purpose?
It's lovely when you have a reason to wake up. When I wake up in the morning, the first thing that hits my head is, what's my schedule for the day? And I was a little confused in jet lag the last few days. And I kept confusing myself as to where I am, which country I'm in, right? Which is a bit funny, it's a different story altogether. But it's amazing to wake up with a purpose in life. And when I was a banker in New York City, I thought I accomplished everything that I ever wanted. A fancy bank account, a fancy lifestyle, globetrotting, business class, living in expensive hotels, throwing dollars, on expensive stuff, rubbing shoulders with some of the most powerful men who moved the markets, who moved money around the world, who controlled the government, by the ways, around the world, right? These were the people who controlled the presidents and prime ministers around the world. So I said, okay, I've achieved everything. It was great for my ego at that point in time to be one of the few girls in that male dominated industry. But then I started feeling depressed for no reason. This is what I wanted all my life. And I was feeling depressed in the best part of my life. People were envious of my lifestyle, when I was posting pictures in different countries, boarding a flight here, I'm in this country for this few hours, in that country. It was an envious lifestyle. Any girl would like die to have that kind of an, opportunity, because opportunities are limited for women compared to men. And I was depressed for no reason and I couldn't understand. And at that point in time, I didn't know it was depression. I was just feeling very low on energy, though physically I looked great. I looked healthy and perfect, on the paper. Your weight, your height, your body mass index. That's again not a measure of health. And I realized that many years later. And I just packed up my bags, left it in New York 10 years ago. I haven't gone back since then, 12 years ago. I left all my luggage there and just returned back to India to do yoga. I said, I didn't know the word Ayurveda. I said, I'll just do yoga. I'll figure out. And I started accepting invitations from around the world, did 10 countries in 11 months. And after that, I came back to India and started seeing it from a tourist perspective. And I traveled the countryside extensively, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka. And I was feeling unconditionally happy. I would wake up at 5:30 naturally without an alarm, or 6 o'clock, exercise, go out and eat a meal that was for 3 people. The waiters would look at me shocked. For a petite woman, I ate a lot of food. And I was feeling happy for no reason. I would stop on the countryside while, we're driving down the highway to talk to the shepherd. Oh, this is not a friend that I would socialize with in the city. And I asked the shepherd, he was having 1,000 sheep. I remember that particular moment. I was dressed, in a top button, shirt and trousers, very androgynous. And he was dressed in a floral, roundabout skirt like a top that the traditional men in Gujarat wear. So he was dressed feminine. I was dressed masculine. And we're having this conversation in the middle of the street, of the highways. And I said, where are you going? He's like, I'm going home, for dinner. And I was like, are these sheep all yours? He's like, yeah. And he probably had no education, had no watch, could tell the time of the day by looking at the sun. And I said, oh my God, okay. And I looked at him and I asked him, are you happy? That was a very strange thing to ask, and I don't know why I asked. He just looked at me with the nicest smile on his face. He said, of course I am. There's sky above me. There's water to drink, food to eat, and I'm going home at sunset. Why else would I not be happy? And that hit me. I was feeling deliriously happy for no reason because my body was balanced. My circadian rhythm was in sync. I had great appetite. I had great sleep for the first time in my life after battling chronic insomnia for years. I had great metabolism and I didn't have to work hard to do anything. My body was feeling at peace and it was generating serotonin and dopamine. And I had no reason to smile, but I was smiling all the time. And I was connecting with other souls who were genuinely happy. At the end of it, all 8.5 billion people in the world are in the pursuit of health and happiness, irrespective of your nationality, ethnicity, religion. It's health and happiness. They're synonymous to each other. And I decided I wanted to bottle my happiness and sell it to the world. And I started researching. I went down the rabbit hole for a few months, exploring yoga, Ayurveda, naturopathy, homeopathy, equestrian training, PTSD, pottery, organic farming. I explored the whole bandwidth, the gamut. And Ayurveda opened the doors for me. And the closest I could come to bottling happiness was like Ayurvedic herbs and medicines in a bottle and give people health. Once you give them health and relieve them of their diseases, they find their happiness.
Wow, beautiful.
Once you find your purpose, it's just so relieving. It makes you feel so light and happy.
That's beautiful. And it also just speaks to the power of living in tune with nature, not only the nature outside, but our internal nature, which is why I think Ayurveda, even when people learn of their doshas or do a dosha test, people get kind of excited because it's like learning something about yourself that's actually natural to you. Can you speak a little bit about how living in tune with our own nature is beneficial to living that happy life?
Okay, number one, if you don't know how to be happy, if you don't know where your happiness and purpose lies, simply surrender to nature first. Don't battle it. Don't fight it. Don't try to dig your way out of that quicksand because you're only going to go deeper. So when you don't know what to do, surrender to nature and do what nature does. Sync your body clock to the circadian rhythm of the universe, of Mother Nature. It's called the Ayurvedic energy clock. To speak in measurable terms. It's beautiful to be able to speak spiritually, but measurable terms, actionable steps. Rise with the sun, set with the sun. Of course, I'm struggling with that with the jet lag, but rise with the sun, set with the sun, that's where your happiness lies. When you rise with the sun, your digestive fire, your Jatar Agni, your metabolic fire starts rising. Now, Jatar Agni or Jatar Agni is the essence, the source of life. As long as it's burning bright inside you, you're alive. When it becomes Mand Agni, it attracts diseases. When it becomes Tikshna Agni, it attracts diseases. But when it's burning bright at the right temperature, at the right intensity, you're alive and healthy. When it gets diminished, you start dying. Okay? So your Jatar Agni responds to the position of the sun. And the sun is controlling it. You're not controlling it. It rises with the sun, have a small breakfast. When the sun is at the peak, have a big lunch. When the sun is setting, have a small dinner. Start with that. Then you can go deeper. Ayurvedic energy clock says 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. is the Vata clock. Hinduism and many religions say it's the Brahma Muhurat, the hour of creation. So everything is agreeing. Science is agreeing, religions are agreeing, people are agreeing, nature is agreeing on this point that 2 a.m. to 6 a.m., there's no traffic in the universe. This is the best time for you to wake up, meditate, manifest the life you want, express gratitude for what you already have. 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. is the Bata clock, the great time for strategizing long-term goals and accomplishing it. Write down what you want. 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. is the Kapha clock. You start moving your body because Kapha is slow and heavy. So you need to do the exact opposite at this point in time. You wake up, you exercise, you move your body and aid the downward moving wind principle in your body to evacuate waste. Number one, most important thing, evacuate waste. And nourish yourself with a small breakfast, exercise, and get to work. 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. is Pitta clock, the time for highest productivity. Have the biggest meal of the day here, but also accomplish the most amount of work between 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Answer all the emails, the calls, finish all your execution. This is the time to build, build, build. Okay? Then execute. 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. is the Vata clock. Have a small snack, a bowl of pistachios, some fruits, some nuts if you want to have, some makhana, chana, whatever you like, and a herbal tea. This is again the time of peak creativity, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., similar to 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. where you were manifesting. Here it's peak creativity. You see children between 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. being very creative, playing, scribbling, doing things that you wouldn't have thought of. This is a time for you to call for team meetings, solve problems, and build short-term strategies. 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., the Kapha clock hits again. It becomes slow and heavy. Surrender to that heavy energy. The sun has set. The air, has settled. The planet is slowing down. The plants and animals and birds have gone back to their resting place. They don't eat and hunt at night. Very few animals are nocturnal. Otherwise, we're all diurnal beings. This is a time to slow down, finish your dinner before sunset, socialize with your family and friends, spend quality time, build your relationships, go within, analyze the day, what happened throughout the day. Release the trauma that you might have picked up that day. I mean, it becomes trauma when you haven't released it over many years. Release whatever negative energy you picked up that day. Don't let it become a tumor inside of you. And forgive yourself for the mistakes you made and forgive others for having hurt you. Release everything and go to bed by 10 p.m. as if it's your last night. Releasing all the unnecessary memories, unhappiness, and trauma, dissolving into the universe, seeking forgiveness from all the animals, plants, birds, human beings you may have hurt, and forgiving everyone who may have hurt you. As if it's your last night. And if you don't wake up, you pray that, dear Lord, I surrender myself to you. If I don't wake up, may I find myself in your arms. And when we say God, in Jainism, we say God is within you. You are God yourself. You're a piece of God. You just have to release the layers over it that made you forget that you're God. So Jainism is like an atheist religion where we're not supposed to do idol worship, but there is a separate community that does it. So we pray to ourselves through meditation. So this is the Ayurvedic energy clock. 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. is the peak Pitta clock where you have deep REM sleep where your body repairs damaged tissues, muscles, and nerves.
Beautiful.
And then comes 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. So if you just do this one little thing, Ayurvedic energy clock, circadian rhythm, the rest will fall into place. Your diet, your workouts, your appetite, your metabolism, everything else is small spokes in the bigger picture.
Beautiful. I love that. Also, when I heard you speak in Delhi, that was something that also resonated with me. Your evening practice of asking for forgiveness and just sort of releasing the day. It is so powerful. And I think, like, I love this Ayurvedic clock because it does make sense. Like, if we think about it, it does make sense because nature is giving us all the cues. So it is beautiful. And if we want to go a little bit deeper into, this is something what I was so passionate about, which you already mentioned about v- plant-based lifestyle as the way of Ayurveda and yoga, and like something for me which when I've been plant-based for 10 years, and being in India, which is the largest community of vegetarians in the world, but that milk is such
Yeah.
a big part of the culture. Like, can you just speak a little bit about our diet and nutrition on like a physical level, on the gut microbiome level, of the nervous system level, like on all the levels, like why should we start to think about or consider living more plant-based
Yeah,
from
I'm
this?
glad we're
Yeah.
discussing that. And that's also the point where I connected with you. I said, you know what? She wants to promote plant-based, and I'm giving my energy to this cause because I want more people to understand the benefits of it. We've treated about 5,600 patients from 74 countries. And for every patient, there was only one protocol, the most important protocol. After that, we went into the nitty-gritties and the personalization of the diet. Number one protocol is whole food, plant-based diet. Whole food means farm to table, untouched by humanity, untouched by factories, unprocessed, unpolluted by all the toxins and the chemicals and the preservatives, fillers and coloring agents. That was that. Second is plant-based. Why? 5 reasons why. And I must have said that even in Delhi, because I've held on to this 5 reason explanation, and it has worked on every person who's a hardcore carnivore, hardcore pescatarian, hardcore meat eater. They were able to analyze the reasons and say, okay, this makes sense. And I have now a reason to be kinder to my body and give it plant-based diet. Now, this is not from a perspective of activism. Animal rights activism is deep within your heart and it is personal. It doesn't have to be applicable to all of us. But be kind to yourself. And these are the 5 reasons why. Number one, animal-based protein is inflammatory in nature, proven by modern medicine. It increases inflammation in your body, and inflammation is the root cause of 50% of the diseases.
Hmm.
Plant-based diet with every bite of fruit and vegetable you eat reduces inflammation in your body. Number two, animal-based diet is acidic in nature. An acidic environment creates room for diseases. Your stomach acids double and triple when you eat animal-based foods, meat, seafood, and eggs, because the body has to break it down and it requires a lot of acid to break it down. You soak meat and you soak a fruit in water. Which one dissolves first? Right? So this requires a lot of stomach acid. So your stomach becomes extremely acidic, and an acidic environment is room for diseases. Plant-based diet is alkalizing in nature. Fruits and vegetables actually make the stomach more alkaline. Cucumbers, carrots, apples, zucchini, they make the stomach alkaline. Keeping aside the citric foods, which is also needed for vitamin C and immunity. So alkaline environment is where cancer doesn't exist. Number three, animal-based protein takes 72 hours to break down in our system. 24 in the stomach, 24 in the small intestine, 24 in the large intestine. Plant-based food takes 3 to 18 hours. 3 hours for fruits, 6 hours for vegetables, 18 hours for grains, pulses, legumes, lentils. Number four, animal-based foods cause loss of calcium. For every 50 grams of animal-based protein you have, you're losing 40 milligrams of calcium through your urine. Because it's so acidic, it pulls calcium from your stomach to break down. And when there's not enough calcium in your stomach, it pulls calcium from your bones. Harvard did a study, and they said, not just animal-based protein, even dairy. They did a study on 72,000 women, and they found that after many years of tracking them, women who had 1 to 2 glasses of milk per day had higher incidence of hip fracture than women who never drank milk.
Hmm.
What was the connection? We were conditioned by the dairy industry to think that milk builds bones. It didn't. It was causing loss of calcium, osteoporosis, arthritis, rheumatism, spondylosis, lactose intolerance, and a whole lot of diseases. Plant-based protein, on the other hand, gives you 8 to 10 times more calcium than dairy and animal-based foods. 100 grams of sesame seeds gives you 6.8 times more calcium than 100 ml of milk. I just had to extract the milk out of sesame seeds or just eat sesame seeds rolled in jaggery, which is such an integral part of Indian cuisine that we have a festival dedicated to eating sesame seeds rolled in jaggery, Gudi Padwa, where everybody sits and eats that. We have a festival dedicated to improving bone density. who said so. And we didn't know. And number five, the most important reason. Think about it. Animals get cancer. Plants don't get cancer. Animals get cancer, blood pressure, diabetes, thyroid, PCOS, PCOD, hormonal imbalance, anxiety, stress, depression, clinical issues, skin diseases. Where does the disease go when you consume the meat? The disease is stored at a cellular level. It enters your body, and your body has to work harder to fight it off, and hence inflammation goes up, acidity goes up, loss of calcium happens. It takes 3 days to break it down. Makes sense, right? Plant-based protein doesn't bring diseases into our body. Hence, our body goes straight into absorbing the nutrients. It becomes alkaline, it reduces inflammation, it gets absorbed within 3 to 18 hours, and it's able to take more calcium, nutrients, and minerals out of it. You get no macro and micro minerals from animal-based food, except protein, which you get better from plant-based foods, and Harvard and Stanford has proven it. I was wondering, what would I learn in Harvard and Stanford? I don't approve of the Western culture anymore. What can they teach me which yoga and Ayurveda hasn't taught me? I went in with a place of ego, from a place of ego. And I went in, I was wondering what. And my teacher in Harvard, who taught me lifestyle medicine, was herself plant-based, vegan, and only practiced yoga all her life and never entered a gym. And the whole course was why whole food plant-based diet is the final thing. She said plant-based protein was easier to digest, didn't bring diseases, didn't cause inflammation. And the body was better able to absorb nutrients because they're bioavailable. They're designed for human consumption. Animals were designed to live, progeny, for relationships, for emotions, just like us. A whale that lost its baby carried its dead baby for 17 days in the ocean, refusing to let it go. A herd of elephants traveled 12 hours on foot through dense land to go meet their owner who saved their life. And nobody told them that the owner died 2 days ago of heart attack, but the elephants just knew.
Yeah, I heard that.
They are our past self. You and I were born as a whale before, as an elephant before, as a tiger before. We went through the entire ecosystem, of different kinds of creatures before being gifted this human form that is capable of awareness, consciousness, that is capable of choice. You have the power of choice. A tiger cannot choose to become a vegetarian. An elephant cannot choose to read books and go to college and graduate. But you and I have the power of choice. Use that power of choice wisely to do things that benefits your body. This is at a physical level. At a mental, emotional level, why do you want to consume cortisol from a slaughtered animal? That's the root cause of your depression. At a spiritual level, gods and goddesses don't control your life. You are the co-creator of your own life. The energy you manifest and create and send out in the universe is the one that's coming back to you. So if I'm going to be responsible for death and slaughter, directly and indirectly, that's going to come back to me. I will have to be reborn as every single animal that I ate. And I have to live that journey of that animal to balance our karma. Nothing governs our life but the laws and principles of karma, that what you do is what you become and is what you attract back into your life. So at a spiritual level, submit to karma and understand that your soul has a greater purpose than devouring animals or causing harm to this environment. We're the only virus on this planet that consumes and doesn't create value. Plants, animals, birds contribute to the ecosystem. So at least let's make it worthwhile. Let's minimize our carbon footprint and negative impact on the planet. Let's try to make it as positive as possible.
Beautiful. You spoke so beautifully about the superiority of plant-based proteins. Can you just bust this myth once and for all when people say, oh, you're a vegan, you're plant-based, but how do you get your protein? I'm sure everybody that's listening that's even considered being plant-based has heard this. And it's when you speak about the power of plant-based proteins, can you speak about how much we need and how to get it? And that, everybody will be fine. And, the cows and the oxes are vegan and they're strong and mighty. How can we settle that once and for all?
I tell people, where do horses get their protein from?
Mm.
They're the strongest, magnificent animals, right, on this planet. They get it from grass. They get it from their dals, the lentils that they eat. They eat a lot of lentils, beans and pulses, right? There's this urad ki dal that is fed to horses. It's a black gram dal. Animals, birds, everyone gets their protein from this. Where do cows and oxes get their protein from? From the grass. It's just that it takes longer for us to get the protein from the grass, fruits, and vegetables. But it's bioavailable in beans, lentils, legumes, pulses, nuts, and seeds, which is a primary source of protein of people living in the blue zones who've exceeded 100 years of life. These are longevity foods, by the way, proven by Harvard and Stanford. Mentioned in Yoga and Ayurveda thousands of years ago, that beans, lentils, legumes, pulses, when digested well, actually contributes to your health and lifespan. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where you get your protein from. They're easier to digest. They take only 18 hours to break down. They don't cause inflammation. They reduce inflammation. They're alkaline in nature. They don't bring diseases in my body. And I still get the protein from it. So this is where you get your protein from. There are 300 varieties of beans, lentils, pulses, legumes just in India. How many varieties do we have in our house? 5, 6, 7. Shame on us. There are 300 varieties. If I ate one variety per day, I wouldn't have to repeat it for a whole year. I have more variety than those who eat animal-based protein. And
Yeah.
animal-based protein, unfortunately, brings a lot of cholesterol in the body. This has been proven. One egg has 240 milligrams of cholesterol. 10 eggs has 2,400 milligrams of cholesterol. So someone who's a bodybuilder eating 10 eggs a day is consuming 2,400 milligrams of cholesterol per day. Even a person consuming just 10 eggs per month came back to me with cholesterol, which we had cured in her when she was put on a plant-based diet. The only thing she brought back in her diet was eggs, and her cholesterol came back.
Mm.
And I said, this is where your cholesterol came from. She's like, really? Such a small thing? I said, yes. Animal-based protein brings cholesterol and a whole lot of inflammatory diseases in the body. And most of the bodybuilders who've come to our clinic have come with the same symptoms. The minute you tell me which country you're from and what profession you practice, I already know what disease you've come to me with.
Wow.
Okay. And whenever I met bodybuilders, I knew one, they had chronic constipation because of excessive protein. There was one bodybuilder who came to me with colon cancer because when protein enters the colon in an undigested form, it triggers cancer cells. And when you go on a high protein diet with not enough carbs and vegetables to digest and break down that protein, which lacks fiber, your intestines start pushing the undigested protein down because it's not able to handle it, because you're constantly eating new food and there's no fiber. It leads to severe constipation, cancer cells in the colon, and higher incidence of colorectal cancer. PubMed has proven that red meat, processed meat, increases the risk of colorectal cancer by 25%. So 1 out of 4 people are at the risk of colorectal cancer when they have red meat. Severe inflammation in the liver because of high cholesterol. They always come with liver issues, cholesterol, severe dark circles because of that, and excessive protein being leaked from the kidneys. Where is the kidney leaking the protein from? It's not creating it. Why is protein entering the colon in an undigested form? It didn't give birth to itself there. It came from the food you eat. So be cautious what messages and narrative you're consuming from the industries that are feeding you, convincing you that you need to eat chicken and eggs to build your body. Not all of us are meant to be bodybuilders. We're normal human beings, and we should be exercising the muscles we use every day, like lifting shopping bags. Not this muscle. I don't lift shopping bags like this.
Mm.
We're exercising the wrong muscles, consuming the wrong narrative, feeding our body the wrong food, and wondering where the diseases came from.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Like that we consume not only food, but we're consuming like information and knowledge at all times. And it's like, are we believing everything that comes into us, or are we using that power of discernment to recognize what's actually in service of me, in service of those around me, including the animals and the planet? So I think that's really powerful. I want to just also keep asking you like a lot of questions that I have as well. We spoke at the beginning, your beautiful quote about, the woman that's healing silently and powerfully and brilliantly. Just like, I'm thinking of myself, I'm 40, and like this like dialogue right now among my peer group is a lot about hormones, hormonal health, perimenopause, premenopause. How can we look at plant-based lifestyle as well as like a yogic lifestyle and exercise and meditation and these powerful practices, but to support our hormonal health?
Yeah, I'm glad you're asking. We're at the same age, and, it's important to address this conversation openly, publicly, more often, so more women hear it and not feeling left out, isolated, because, doctors are not able to address why women are not feeling well. And women are at the risk of the highest number of autoimmune disorders compared to men. If you see thyroid patients, it's mostly women, 80% of it. Even in my clinic, 80% of the patients are women, 20% men. Maybe men don't pay attention to their symptoms as much as women do, but women have a complex body. Our hormonal cycle is 28 days, whereas a man's hormonal cycle is 1 day. Within 1 day, the body is able to produce sperm again. In fact, within an hour, it can do it. But a woman's body takes 28 days to release the egg to be able to conceive a child. It doesn't happen every day. There's only 1.5 days, that 36 hours where a woman is fertile and able to conceive. It takes our body 28 days to balance the estrogen, the androgen, the testosterone, the progesterone. We're literally living in a sea of hormones. Now, when your body is overflooded with hormones, undigested estrogen, it leads to fibroids, tumor, and cysts. Undigested androgen leads to PCOS, PCOD, facial hair, acne. Undigested progesterone can lead to excessive bleeding or no bleeding. It could go either ways. Undigested testosterone can lead to other health issues. So when we have undigested hormones and our body is flooded with hormones, what is the first thing you'll do? Will you feed your body more hormones or will you clean it out? Your body has undigested hormones. So are you going to feed it more hormones? What has hormones in it? Animals, birds. They have the same hormones that we have: estrogen, progesterone, androgen, testosterone. So when your house is flooded, first close the tap. Don't complain about the wetness. First close the tap. So the first thing you do is close the triggers, which is meat, seafood, eggs, dairy. All four are inflammatory food groups that brings hormones into the body. Get that out. Then you switch to a whole food plant-based diet. And in the plant-based diet, there are certain foods women are asked to are advised to avoid. Soya-based products, because it has a lot of isoflavones, which mimics estrogen in the body and creates phytoestrogen that leads to more estrogen development. So soya milk was given to girls my age when we were young by advice of the salons that our mothers visited to make us more feminine, to make us more curvy and voluptuous and attractive.
Okay.
And that caused me to end up in the hospital. The
Wow.
soya milk that my mother gave me every single morning, unfortunately, she didn't know, led to severe inflamed sinus. The sinuses were blocked because it dropped my body temperature dramatically. And I ended up in the hospital for a deviated septum surgery and multiple fibroids in my body. All
Wow.
that undigested estrogen clumped up into a fibroid. I had 2 surgeries for fibroids in my breast at the age of 16 and 18. And I thought it was cancer. So I didn't tell my mother for 6 months till the tumor grew to a very large size and I couldn't breathe anymore. It got lodged in my ribs. And by the time I told her, it was already quite big. We rushed to the hospital. Within 2 weeks, I had to do a painful mammogram, which exposed me to a lot of radiation. And that radiation caused the fibroid to explode from this big to the size of my fist in 2 weeks. We had to be rushed into surgery, lost a lot of blood, learned how to walk again for 7 days. I couldn't even walk and eat and do stuff.
Wow.
And the 30-minute surgery suddenly became an hour and a half, and my parents were just sobbing uncontrollably outside the operation theater. They didn't know what was happening to their 16-year-old daughter. 2 years later, I had to go for another fibroid. And third, I was called back for a third surgery, and I asked the doctor, can you guarantee that the fibroids are not coming back? They're highly fibrocystic. They're benign. Luckily, they're not malignant and they're not cancerous. But can you guarantee it's not going to come back if I come for a surgery? They're like, no. I said, then I'm not coming back for a surgery. I realized then that surgery wasn't the answer. I didn't know that the diet was the answer. 20 years fast forward, Ayurveda found me, nutrition found me, discovered me, rescued me, helped me. And I found answers for all the diseases I suffered as a child. I had epilepsy when I was born because my mother had a difficult pregnancy. She vomited a lot and she had a lot of mental duress and stress. And my father was not around as much as she wanted him. He was busy working, trying to make a living. And then I had migraines every single day. It came from chronic constipation and I didn't know. I had fissures and, bleeding from the colon. I had a surgery for deviated septum that came from inflamed sinus from the soya milk. I had 2 surgeries for fibroids, which I thought was cancerous. We had a cancer scare that came from, again, undigested estrogen and the liver and the gallbladder not functioning to its optimum capacity of flushing the estrogen out of the system, chronic constipation, and soya-based foods. Soya was not the only culprit. My liver and gallbladder and colon was also not functioning to its optimum capacity. Then I also had another surgery for tonsillitis, which was unnecessary. They should have just told the kid to stay off sugar and ice creams and give me, warm water and honey and ginger and pepper and turmeric and cinnamon. The inflammation would have gone down. I would have still had my tonsil, which was a security guard protecting my immunity. I had urticaria because of eating wrong combinations of foods. And after that, I went into food chemistry. So every disease led me down the rabbit hole to find out what was causing it. And I was able to find answers for my own diseases and use that in application to the patients who came to me. And I said, you don't have to suffer and go through the journey that I went through. Here's the answer.
Hmm.
And the woman who listened to me, there was one girl from London, I must tell you the story of. Her mother discovered me and started sending my videos to her son, who had diabetes in London, and to her daughter, who had PCOD in London and became obese. She went through my content, divided it, and sent it to different kids. She came to me 6 months later and she was like so deliriously excited and happy. She was like, literally running around the clinic. I was like, who's she, And then she came and said, I have to tell you something. My son has 11.1 HbA1c in London. By just watching your videos, I changed his diet and lifestyle, and now it has come down to 5.6. He reversed diabetes. The daughter came to me for a consult 6 months later. They booked a consult that it has to be in person. She wants to come and thank you. She reversed PCOD in 3 months and lost 17 kgs. And also reversed her thyroid. And she was going for the final checkup with the doctor, who was forced to take her off the medication. Reverse thyroid, PCOD, dropped 17 kgs in 3 months. If she could do it, what excuse do I have?
Hmm.
And this is from just watching the videos. The truth is available there. It's up to you to receive the information. And I asked them, why did you even come for a consult then? They're like, oh, we just wanted you to do the finishing touch, like give us a cherry on the cake. And I think it's also like an affirmation that they needed to hear it from me. That's it, that they were doing well, that you arrived.
Yeah. Beautiful. It's so, I love that. Amazing that we have the power to heal ourselves. But I think there's so much information out there. Like even hearing you explain about, meat, eggs, dairy, seafood, and the hormones, but then also like soy milk, and also thinking about some people might go plant-based and there's still so much products available, and like you said, not whole foods. And it's like, what are some alternatives that, for those that are especially going from vegetarian to plant-based, that are not soya products? Because it's like people can kind of get fearful or overwhelmed, and it sort of paralyzes change, as it's like, well, what can I choose? So what, just for example, in terms of milk, like I know a lot of people drink soy milk. It's super available here in India. And it's like, what are the good milk options?
I love coconut milk. People don't know how beautiful coconut milk is. It has omega-3 fatty acids, which is a good fatty acids. It has lauric acid, which heals your gut lining. It heals IBS. It heals ulcers, acidity, reflux. And coconut milk nourishes the thyroid gland. The ovaries, the uterus loves good fat, which coconut milk has. Coconut is literally called Shrifal, the fruit that we offer gods during prayer. Coconut can quench your thirst, give you electrolytes, replenish your dehydrated tissues, muscles, and nerves. Suitable for all three body types, tridoshik in nature. It feeds you soft coconut meat, which lubricates your GI tract and clears constipation, bloating, indigestion, and all of the issues. And the husk can be used to scrub your body, build a thatch over your, house, a roof. Coconut, how magical is it? It's growing almost 20 feet above the ground or 30 feet, is able to generate water 30 feet high. It takes all the nutrition and the minerals and the nutrients and the water and the moisture from earth, and it goes through the plant's digestive system and enzymes to become tender coconut water. So it's pre-digested water. And if you were caught in a jungle in a situation where you don't have access to glucose drips in an emergency, you can literally introduce coconut water directly into your bloodstream. It's that pure. Coconut milk is probably one of the best blessings for women and men. Always have a big bottle of coconut milk in your house, number one. Number two, almond milk. Make sure you're not exceeding 10 almonds per day because it's rich in oxalates. Almond milk has a nutty flavor. Use it for your teas and coffees, because you need very little. Coconut cream, if you let it sit, coconut milk long enough, it turns into cream. That is delicious in your black coffee. Like, I look forward to that once in a blue moon, black coffee with coconut cream in it. It
Hmm.
is like toffee. It's like drinking chocolate. Right? I'm not a big fan of oat milk. I've been watching a lot of influencers, health educators. educate us and warn us on what glucose spikes it was causing us. And I also have been researching that oat is susceptible to mold toxicity. It's one of the most toxic foods because they're sprayed with glyphosates, and you're literally drinking a concoction of chemicals when you're having oat milk. Soya milk, again, I don't recommend for most women and men because it has a lot of phytoestrogens. It's the most difficult protein to digest as per Ayurveda. Koreans and Japanese have learned how to ferment it overnight and extract the milk, and they do it the authentic manner. America, India, and other countries unfortunately process soya milk in a factory using chemicals to extract the milk because it's very difficult. And you're drinking the concoction of chemicals along with that little bit of soya milk. So I don't recommend drinking soya milk or having soya-based products like tofu and such in US and India. But if you're in Japan, if you're in Korea, definitely load up on it. Men have developed male breast, movies, as they call it, in a slang, because of excessive soya in their diet. They have feminine characteristics sometimes when they have excess of it. If you post menopause, then you can have soya milk. But otherwise, the only suggestions I would give is coconut milk and almond milk.
Great. Good
And
options.
millet milk.
Mm.
Extracting milk out of ragi, finger millet. Excellent for women's health, for bone density, for weight loss. Extracting milk out of sesame seeds, best source of calcium. Any millet can be soaked and you can extract the milk next morning.
Beautiful. Great. I love that. Okay, very good options. And I also love coconut milk. I'd actually before this talk, listened to quite a few of your talks, and I had my coconut milk and chia and fruits earlier because I'm like, Dimple says go for the coconut milk. So yes. And then I have one more specific question. I want to also ask you about ghee. I know, I love the taste of ghee. I love ghee. Can you speak about ghee for people living plant-based diet or those that are practicing Ayurveda? Of course, ghee is such a big part of Ayurveda and why it's good, and also alternatives to ghee, if there are even any.
I turned vegan 3 times. The first 2 times was unsuccessful attempts. The third time I did become successful, but I had to introduce ghee back in my diet. I don't have milk, yogurt, buttermilk, cottage cheese, any of those products, right? I don't crave it. I don't miss it, but I need ghee in my diet. And I realized why, because it was helping me lubricate my entire GI tract, intestines and colon, and allowed the liver to detoxify the undigested hormones and estrogen out of my system. So when I stopped having ghee, I developed hemorrhoids, painful ones, and I also developed larger fibroids. The fibroids started growing even more bigger, and I became inflamed. I looked literally 4 months pregnant. That's how big the fibroids became. And I was like, okay, I need the ghee back in my diet. Ghee has butyric acid, short chain fatty acids, which, by the ways, your body has to create on its own. It's not available in any food group. There's one other alternative, which I'll tell you. So when we eat good fat foods, omega-3s, our body creates butyric acid, butyrate. Ghee has it already. The milk has been boiled, fermented overnight to make yogurt. Then the cream has been taken and fermented overnight to make butter. Then that has been boiled again to make ghee. And that ghee has gone through 2 times boiling, 2 times fermentation. And now it is still fermenting in that jar. The older the ghee, the better the microbiome in it. It is a great pre and probiotic for your gut. It enhances your gut microbiome. It has butyric acid, which is great for your gut and colon health. And ghee is the only thing that can pull heavy metals out of our system, besides cilantro and parsley. So it's a powerful golden liquid that detoxifies you. When Dhanvantri arrived on earth, on Dhanteras, with a pot of gold, it was actually not gold. It was golden colored ghee, Sadagauta Gridam, 100-wash ghee in a pot. Dhanvantri appeared on earth when there was a lot of suffering and diseases. Dhanvantri, the god of Ayurveda, who's also the doctor in heaven for the gods and goddesses who also suffer diseases, by the way. Ashwini brothers are the physicians in heaven. Dhanvantri appeared on earth and gifted mankind this pot of golden colored liquid ghee. And they said health is wealth. Dhanteras, which was supposed to be health, is now being celebrated as wealth, where people buy gold coins and silver coins and whatnot. That helped release a lot of diseases and helped mankind survive. That was the vision of Ayurveda, the mission of Dhanvantri to bring Ayurveda to planet. So ghee is a huge part of Ayurvedic cuisine. And if you're strictly plant-based for ethical reasons, you can have cashew butter, which has butyric acid as well. And if you find access to a cruelty-free cow farm, consume the dairy products, the milk and ghee, where the cow has been treated like a goddess and the cow has fed its calf, not injected with hormones and antibiotics, not artificially inseminated, not tied, allowed to be free. The cow willingly, happily blesses mankind with dairy. That dairy is prasad, blessing, because the cow has 34 types of gods and goddesses that live in it. Because even gods and goddesses need nutrients and nutrition. They have a different kind of a body, which is ether based, but they also need to be nourished. So they live in different parts of the cow to get the nourishment. Like Shiva lives here in this part of the cow's head. The horns has another god. The stomach has another god, goddess. Different parts of the cow has it. So it's literally manna from heaven or blessing from the gods and goddesses if you have a cow that has been treated like a goddess. But if it's a cow that has been kept in a factory, artificially inseminated, injected with antibiotics and hormones every day, forced to give birth, forced to produce 4 to 5 times more milk with, swollen udders, separated from its calf, tortured, traumatized, that cow is going to release pus, blood, inflammation, cortisol, estrogen, hormones into that milk, which is cancerous, which is full of diseases. So be careful of your choices.
Beautiful. Good to have the options. And like, just, I think it also is about awakening a sense of questioning and awareness into what and how we're eating as a way of how we move through the world, which is so powerful on an individual level, on a familial level, like with our communities, but like on the bigger level, like what is the impact of my choices to me and to everything and everyone around me? So really beautiful options there, definitely.
Yeah.
Before we wind up, I just have 2 more questions. These are like my own personal questions as well. You spoke a little bit earlier about the importance of excavation, of like our digestion. Can you just like spend a few moments shedding a little bit of light onto ama and like how we can, especially when we're living the yogic lifestyle, when we wake up, we meditate, we do pranayam, asana, like how to make sure that we are having that proper removal of the daily waste?
Number one, make sure to have good fat in your diet. If you're constipated, have warm water with ghee in the morning, milk with ghee at bedtime. The milk becomes a carrier of that good fat, omega-3, short chain fatty acids with butyric acid to go all the way from the mouth to the stomach, intestines, and colon. And it allows smooth evacuation of waste. So grease your body from inside with ghee in the morning and ghee at bedtime. Now, if you're someone who's vegan, you can switch to cashew butter. Okay. Make sure to have avocado oil, coconut oil, sesame oil in your diet. There's a big myth that was created by modern medicine not to consume these oils. And they, forced you to consume the seed oils instead, which was expensive. Not expensive, it was widely available, industrialized. So you don't need any of that. Have a lot of fiber in your diet. You don't realize the value of fiber. Insoluble fiber found in vegetables and fruits does not dissolve in your body. So what does it do? It acts like a mesh that goes through your body, traps the poisons and toxins, which are really small and micro, creates volume around that toxin and poison so that it can come out of the body. Because the toxins and poisons are too little to come out on their own. You don't have adequate volume, bulk to go to the bathroom. So fiber is basically adding volume and bulk to your poop so that it can come out. 2 bowls of fiber per day, 2 bowls of vegetables, 1 bowl of soup, of all the yucky leafy greens that you don't want to eat, just boil them together and make a soup and make it delicious. 2 bowls of fruits, it's prebiotics, it's like putting seeds into your garden. 2 bowls of millets, complex carbs that doesn't cause a sugar spike, that nourishes you. 2 bowls of protein, lentil, legume, pulses, 1 handful of nuts and seeds. This is a sustainable diet that you can follow.
Beautiful. I think this conversation has been so amazing. I love even what you said earlier about surrendering to nature if one is on the path. And I'm just thinking of all the listeners who they're all so sincere in their search to find, like you said also before, happiness and health and wholeness. So you've given us so much here. This conversation has been really rich. And I'd love to just ask one final question when I wind up the episodes. At this point in your life, in your sadhana, in your spiritual journey, what are you still curious about?
I'm so glad you remind me of the sadhana and the curious journey because I haven't been able to do my samayik, which is a Jain practice where we sit in the same spot for 48 minutes and do our prayers and chanting and meditation. So my goal is to do that every single day for 48 minutes because when you consistently do the same thing again and again, it opens doors. Like, it's like melting a rock. It's not possible to melt a rock, but that same drop of water, the same stream, the drop of water that keeps dropping and dripping on that same spot of the rock day in, day out will eventually break that rock. So we have ignorance within us. We have forgotten who we are. We've forgotten that we're God within us. There is layers of unnecessary baggages and trauma that we've layered onto our own soul. I'm curious what my soul is capable of and what my soul wants me to accomplish. Ayurveda was my gift, or rather my duty to the universe. When I was confused about what I wanted in my life, I had conversations with the universe and I said, for some reason, I've been your favorite child. Everything that I wrote on paper came true in its own bizarre manner. And I'm very grateful. I'm very privileged to even be alive despite the circumstances that humanity put me through. I have nothing more to ask. Tell me what you want me to do on your behalf in this planet. You've created me for a reason in this particular time, age, and era. What is it that you want me to do? I will do it, no questions asked. And Ayurveda happened. So that was my way of giving back to the society because my grandfather always raised us with the thought that service to humanity is the rent you pay to live on this planet. So make sure you've paid your rent before you die. So I found my service to humanity through Ayurveda. Now, what's my service to my soul is what I want to now accomplish because this will carry on what we're doing in Ayurveda, but I want to also be able to serve my soul to find its truth, its higher self, awareness and consciousness, and its final mukti from the cycle of life and death. And if this be my last birth, may I finish all my karmic imbalances and find moksha hopefully soon.
I love that. Me also. That's the ideal. So I can totally relate to that. And I think so many of the listeners will as well. So I just want to thank you again, Dimple. You're such an inspiration. I feel so privileged that I got to spend a little bit of time with you and share like the wealth of your knowledge, your inspiration, your story with these curious yogis that are listening, that are really going to take so much value from this conversation. So I just really offer you all my love and appreciation for taking the time. I know you're super busy, so really, really means a lot. Thank you.
I must thank you for holding space for this conversation, for bringing out the best in me. It's not every day that I get to have a conversation so deep and spiritually meaningful. And it's only possible if there's someone on the other side asking the right questions and guiding me towards myself. So in a way, you're also a shepherd that is guiding the sheep back to its, place of origin, to its source. And that's what you're doing. You're shepherding all of us to say the right things and be the right things. So thank you for holding space, for this beautiful conversation. I really enjoyed talking to you. And I'm so glad that it happened today and not yesterday, because today I feel like, oh my God, I have so much within me that I want to explore, and you're allowing me to do that. So thank you for that.
Beautiful. And I love also, just quickly, what you said before we started recording, that like everything, like we were meant to connect in this moment, in this day, and it's all just happening in that perfection if we can have that awareness. So I love that you also brought that out, and thank you for the appreciation, and yeah, lots of love.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to everyone who's listening as well for giving us the gift of time.
Yes. And also, before we finish, I will also say that I'm going to share all the links for your website, and definitely suggest for the listeners to do your master classes. You have so many amazing self-directed courses on your website. And just to stay tuned, because who knows where Dimple may be next, maybe touring through Europe, through North America, who knows. So just to definitely follow you, and I'll share all of your information in the links for the listeners as well.
Thank you so much. So grateful.
Thanks for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed what you heard, please consider supporting the show at patreon.com/A Curious Yogi Podcast. And please leave a review. It really helps the show reach more people. Let's stay curious, connected, and keep walking the path together. In total delight, this is Bobby signing off until next time.